Hey guys, welcome back to another Vlogmented reality. I'm sitting outside early in the morning having a cup of coffee, and I wanted to put this video together because if you guys have been following the other VR videos, you guys know that I was a part of a Biggest Loser challenge at work. So if you're coming just to hear the results of that challenge, I'll spoil it for you. I won the competition, and I was really happy because when I first started this entire thing, I set out just to be, healthier and lose some weight because of something that happened. And winning this challenge was just kind of icing on the cake because it showed that I was on the right track so far. So I'm not near my goal, my ultimate goal, but this was kind of reaching one of my mini goals. I'll talk a little bit about that shortly, but before I continue, I just want to say thank you to everybody, because if it wasn't for the support of my family, my friends, my coworkers, and of course all of you guys watching with your comments and messages, suggestions, I don't think I would have been able to get as far as I did. So I just want to say thank you to everybody. It really means a lot that you guys were kind of on board and that some of you guys have even decided to make changes for yourself. Before I continue, I just want to say I'm not a personal trainer. I am not a dietitian. This is just the process that I took, and hopefully something that I tell you guys clicks with you guys and it helps you. So let's get into it. Just some intro here. I guess growing up, I was always one of the thicker kids, and as I became an adult, I realized that eating kind of became a coping mechanism for me. Whether it was sad or stress or even happy, we would eat, and well, me mainly. I'm not going to speak for anybody else, but me mainly. I would eat. Excuse me. And it might seem weird to you guys that I'm saying that even happy, but it's true. If you think about it, when you get together to celebrate something good that happened, you usually go out to dinner. You go out to celebrate by eating something. And, it obviously put me into the position that I was in, especially considering the last handful of years were very stressful. There was a lot of stuff going on that I'm not going to get into in this video, but it was really stressful. And ultimately, a lot of that stuff started to get better, and now I am where I am. But regardless, eating was a coping mechanism. So several months ago, we went to the soft opening of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, and we were invited by our friends Roland and Tony, and it was me and Lynette, my wife, and Javier and Courtney, his wife. So we get to Hogsmeade, and I'm like super psyched, it's like, Hogsmeade! And I think we posted a video on Instagram. We walk in, and it is insane how amazing that area looks, guys. I would recommend that you try to go. But we start walking around. We make a beeline for the Forbidden Journey, which is what we went for. We went to ride that. And as we're about to enter the gates for Hogwarts Castle, we're pulled aside by a cast member. And I don't know if they're called cast members at Universal. If you guys know what they're called, leave a comment down below. But I'm pulled aside by one of the people working at Universal, and they tell me, "Sir, can you come over to the side here, because we want to make sure that you're going to be safe on the ride." Safe on the ride. It was a little confusing at first, but once I saw what was there, it was a seat with a harness, I kind of figured out what was going on. So I sat down, tried to put the harness over myself, and they said it's got to click 3 times and the light has to turn green in order for you to ride. It only clicked twice and the light never turned green. So everything just kind of felt like one of those after school specials when people are like laughing at you in slow motion. Javier came over, he was trying to click it down, pushing down on it, and we could just not get it down, to click for that 3rd time. So I got out. Lynette and Courtney rode by themselves. Javier hung out with me, and I was totally bummed out, and I wanted to go to Krusty Burger to get something to eat. We didn't The rest of the group decided to do other stuff in the park, which is great because I think had we gone at that point, I would have eaten a lot more. We did go later in the day, but I don't think I ate as much because we waited. I was pretty bummed out the rest of the day, and going home, I just remember thinking, man, I just got to do something. I have to change something that's going on here. So I felt like the switch just finally flipped on this whole, weight loss thing. So that's kind of what set everything off. At around the same time, some people at work were throwing around the idea to put together this biggest loser challenge, and I didn't really want to do it at first because I've been a part of this type of competition before, and the last couple times that I did it, I failed, and I failed simply because I gave up. It was too hard. It was much easier to eat tacos, and I just didn't want to put up with it, so I just didn't do it. That was one of my biggest fears going into this one, and knowing that I had just given up before, I just didn't want to do it. I talked to my wife, talked to some friends, and ultimately decided that this would be a good thing, and I did it. So here's the process that I took. Month one was really about retraining my metabolism. I didn't really change a lot about what I was eating the first month because I didn't want to shock my body. I've been on diets before that kind of helped me shoot down in weight, and then I shoot back up because I took a weird crash course diet or something. So I didn't want to do that again. I wanted to try to be smarter this time. So I was still eating a lot of the same things that I was eating before. I was just cutting down the portions. If I was having 4 or 5 slices of pizza, I was only having 1 or 2 slices of pizza. Another thing was that I started walking at least 15 minutes every day. 15 minutes was about as much as I could take without feeling like I was gonna fall over and puke by the end, but it was a start. And I would do it during my breaks, I would do it during lunchtime, and I would do it just walking the parking structure at work, just walking around the structure, walking up and down the walkways, and it was really helpful to kind of kickstart everything. The other thing that I did was I got myself some running shoes, which seems weird to me because I don't run worth a damn, at least not yet, but I did. I went to a New Balance store out in Pasadena, California. I had my feet measured on this machine that measures your pressure points and everything, and I got myself my very first pair of running shoes. It might seem like common sense to a lot of people, but I never paid too much attention to that. So I always had pain in my feet, lower back pain. To make it worse, before I started, I had a pre-existing injury on one of my feet. Plus, I have something called plantar fasciitis, which I won't really get into. You can Google that if you want, but needless to say, it is super painful to walk sometimes. So much so that the doctors that I've gone to see have recommended that I have the surgery to correct the issue. So it made it really hard all the time to walk. After a while, you just kind of learn to live with the pain. Some people take cortisone shots, stuff like that. I didn't. I just kind of learned to live with it. But yeah, that was pretty much my first month. It was all about just walking, not being so sedentary throughout the day, and taking advantage of those shoes that were kind of pricey, but now that I look back on it, was really worth it to me. So look into that. Month 2 was all about ramping up activity. I remember when I started, I was averaging about 2,000 to 3,000 steps a day. By month 2, I was doing the minimum 10,000 steps that Fitbit recommends that you walk, and I was pretty happy because I was getting a lot of the badges. Around this time, I also decided that I was going to cut all sugar out of my diet. I had decided that I was going to restrict my caloric intake to somewhere between 2,500 to 3,000 calories a day, depending on how much walking I was doing. But the sugar thing was huge for me because I'm big on pastries. I love sweets, and cutting out all pastries, all juices. I was basically just drinking. I always drink black coffee. I don't really put anything in it for the most part, unless I get like a specific drink at Starbucks or something, because I have a sweet tooth. But my general coffee, I always drink black. And it was that and water. My wife got us these water bottles that hold about 32 ounces of water, and they are awesome. If you don't have one, totally recommend that you get one. Again, I'll put a link to this in the description down below if you guys want to check it out, along with the bento boxes. But the bento boxes were great because they really help portion everything out. Just getting a couple of those together was really helpful. I also started spreading out my meals. Before, I would skip breakfast, sometimes skip lunch, and sometimes even skip dinner. So it was big for me that I had begun to spread out my meals. I set alarms on my phone to eat every 2.5 to 3 hours, usually something small. It wasn't anything huge, just 5 or 6 ounces of something. I was eating a lot of lean meats, lean protein, so a lot of chicken breast, a lot of turkey, a lot of fish. I started integrating a lot of vegetables, including a daily smoothie just with a bunch of vegetables, spinach, kale, blueberries, different things, to have a little bit of variety every day. So that became my daily, eating habits, just morning smoothie and then eating throughout the day these little meals, portioned out, a whole bunch of water. I noticed that I was walking a lot more by then. I started off walking about a quarter mile, if that, and by then I felt like I was going to pass out during the first month, but by then I was walking just about a mile in about 20 to 25 minutes. That was every lunch break that I had every day, and on weekends, we had other stuff that we did that required us to walk around, which was awesome. I remember posting a video right about that time that talked about my resting heart rate and how it had gone from, I think it was lower mid 80s to just upper 60s, which was fantastic. I noticed that I had a lot more energy. I could hang with my kids who have a lot of energy themselves. So it definitely helped. And by then I could see the changes. I was fitting into other clothes that I hadn't fit into in a really long time. They were looser. And I remember having a conversation with my wife towards the end of that month where we looked back on everything, and I had been in first place pretty much consistently since the second week of the competition. And around that time, my wife said, "You know what? You actually have a really good chance of winning this thing." I didn't originally want to put myself in that mode because I didn't want to crash course it, from the beginning. But by then I felt like I was kind of on the right track to making a whole bunch of really good decisions, and I realized, I think I can win this thing. So it was kind of game on at that point, and I decided to really push as hard as I could, exercise-wise, to reach that next level. So month 3 was just all activity. It was possibly the most intense month, obviously, because by then I was used to a lot more activity. And here's one thing that I did, guys. A lot of people ask me how many times I went to the gym, how much I was benching, I did none of that throughout this entire challenge. I just walked. All I did was walk. I didn't go to the gym. I wasn't doing any weight or strength training. I'm going to start that next, but throughout the challenge I didn't do any of that. I know that muscle burns fat faster, but it wasn't my intent at the time. I wanted to drop before I started doing that. So my walks got longer. In the same 25 minutes, by then I was walking about 1.5 miles, maybe more, depending on if I was walking with anybody. We always try to keep a good pace depending on who was out walking with us. We developed a small group of people to walk, and it was great. You get to chat, you forget that you're walking, and one thing that I really learned was that not all walking is created equal. It might seem like common sense to most people, but a lot of people go out on a stroll and they say, I'm out losing weight, I'm exercising. Yeah, it's a form of exercise if all you want to do is get your blood flowing, but if you want to do it for weight loss, remember that you need to get your heart pumping. And that was the one thing that the Fitbit was really good at helping me do. This is one of the models that has a heart rate monitor in it, and I found out what my cardio zone and my fat burning zone were. Everybody's are different, so you might want to look into yours, but I found out what my fat burning zone was, where the threshold was, and whenever I was walking, I would make sure that I stayed as high in that threshold as possible. If I went over, I would slow down. If I was going under, I would speed up, and that's really how I managed my walking. There was a lot more stairs that I climbed. That was really helpful because stairs, I noticed that when I started with the stairs in my walking, it got my heart rate just pumping as quickly as possible. So if you have the ability to start with some stairs, do that. It was super helpful for me. And yeah, it was just a lot of walking. Small changes, like when we went to Disneyland, we wouldn't take the tram to the entrance anymore. We would walk from the Mickey and Friends parking structure to the entrance of the park. And I think round trip it's about a mile. So anything that I could use as a moment to walk, I used. And I think all of that, along with, by then I think I was only eating 2,000 to 2,500 calories a day. Again, depending on how much I was working out. But the walks definitely did get more intense. They got longer. Started drinking a little more water than I was before. And ultimately, I did really good for myself, I think. So by the end of the competition, during our final weigh-in, which didn't turn out to be the final weigh-in, it was the week after because of some confusing thing that happened. I was bummed because I was growing this beard out during the challenge, and I shaved it, wore a suit and everything to commemorate the final weigh-in. It turns out it was the week after, but it's okay. It wasn't like I was going to be doing anything that I wasn't doing before that, so it was okay. I was pretty confident going into it, and I was really happy with the results so far, so it wasn't a big deal anymore. Win or lose, I was okay with it at that point, even though I was in competition mode. Win or lose, I was okay because I knew that I had made a lot of positive changes by then, and it was definitely something I could see, with my clothes and everything. I definitely felt a lot better. A lot of the things that I felt were wrong before started to kind of go away. Looking back at the weight loss, by the end of the challenge, I had lost over 17% of my body weight in that 3-month period. That was just over 55 pounds total loss. And I was psyched. I can't even begin to tell you, how happy I was because I had set goals in the FitBit app. My first 25-pound goal, I hit that. My first 50-pound goal, I hit that. I'm working now towards an ultimate 100-pound goal. And so far, doing okay. Hopefully I can continue. That's my biggest fear now, going into this, that I don't have the challenge in the back of my head to motivate me to continue working out and walking and all that stuff. I know that I want to add some strength training going forward, and my workouts have to get a little more intense because my body has become used to, what I've been doing. So now I have to intensify more, and the walking's going to be hard, but I could probably do like an elliptical, a bicycle or something. I'll figure it out, So I know that the next 50 is going to be a little slower than these first ones, but again, I'll figure it out. All the stuff that I talked about in this video, I hope you guys found useful in some way or another. If you know somebody that it could possibly be useful for, share the video with them. Hopefully you guys like it. All the links to the stuff I talked about, the water bottles, the bento boxes, the Fitbit, stuff like that, I'll leave links in the comment section for you guys to check those out if you guys want to do so. They're not needed, but they were helpful, and hopefully they're helpful for you guys. And if I leave you with anything else, it's this. Everybody's journey is different. There is no one size fits all, especially for something like this. You do what's comfortable, and you gradually build up to where you want to ultimately get to. Remember that when you start, you don't have to be so intense, and you don't have to be, fast about what you're doing. Just start. That's the most important thing. Just start. I'll see you guys in the next video.